Yeah, I'm just
Hey
excited.
everybody, welcome to another edition of Family Campfire. I believe this is all the way up to number 14 already. I can't believe we've already done 14 of these, but everyone is great and awesome for me at least. Hopefully this one is no different. I know it's an honor to have our guest tonight, Mr. Jerkfish in Ohio. Thanks for coming on and joining us. Um,
My
I
pleasure.
just want to throw it out there real quick about the format of the show. Basically, we're going to talk to him a little bit about his time in the hobby and places he likes to hunt and stuff like that. A little bit of the history of the finds that he's found, and then sorry, I forgot to mute that. Anyway, we'll we'll do that, and then we'll cover a little bit about the CWPPO and the different fundraising things and sponsorship ideas that people have. They can feel free to throw them out in the external. We'll cover the do's and don'ts, what we can and can't do with that, and hopefully get some new ideas to help get some funds gathered for that event. Josh, do you want to go ahead and start with the questions?
Sure, absolutely, I can do that. Kind of hitting the ground running here. Why don't you start off with letting us know just exactly what is dirt fishing Ohio?
Well, beginning of 2014, I got my hands on a bounty hunter, a real inexpensive bounty hunter. Didn't find much. I found four Wheaties and a silver ring over the course of all of 2014. Little toy cars and stuff. Nothing valuable. But I was hooked. I don't know. I get out there and I get lost in my thoughts, and I call it therapy to my wife. I'll tell my wife I need some therapy, and she'll go ahead. So over the winter, I decided to get a little better machine. I did some research. Couldn't afford the $2,500 machine, so what I did was I asked for Amazon gift cards for Christmas, and the day after Christmas actually is my birthday. I asked for two things. I wanted either Amazon card or I wanted whatever gift you were going to give me with a receipt taped to it so I could take it back and get an Amazon card. And took that money, put a little bit more with it, and I got an AT Pro. And I watched, oh my goodness, hundreds, if not thousands of hours of videos of, stealth diggers and Hoover boys and, all the really cool channels. And I got hooked. I got my machine pretty early. I got it in January, and I live in Ohio. The snow didn't melt till March, and I got out March 22nd. Me and my daughter Addison, I give her a shout out. She's in the house listening, and she she loves it too. And on our first day, March 22nd, we went out. We got a silver rosy dime, and we've just been hooked ever since. And since then, our knowledge has grown a lot more with the coins we got. I didn't know anything about coins at all. I'd dig a coin up, and that's how I learned. I learned what you know a barber was and what a seated was. Well, I knew what a seated was by the time I got one, but we're hooked. We already got 48 silvers out of the ground, probably 20 Indian heads, a couple large cents. Cat bust half dime is my favorite. Seated quarter, half British half pennies, all kinds of really super cool stuff. We've got some relics out of the ground, but I started in parks, and parks are fun, but as we all know, they're pretty well hunted out. So what I started doing was I would go on Zillow. I don't know. I'm sure everybody knows all about Zillow, but my buddy Mike taught me about Zillow, and I went on Zillow, and you can tell the age of any house just by clicking on it. And I would find really old neighborhoods that were around me. I would park my car, leave all my equipment in the car, and I would just walk around the neighborhoods and talk to people. And you'd be amazed at how many people, oh, come check my yard, come check my yard. And you're on an 1880 house or whatever, 1890, 1910, you're finding good stuff in their yard, and then their neighbors get intrigued. Next thing you know, you're digging 3 or 4 properties in a row. and it just kind of blossomed from there. And I absolutely love it. I'm head over heels into this hobby, and now I'm starting to get into the more historical stuff, like with the CWPPO. I can't even words can't even describe how excited I am about this upcoming dig and just the whole organization and what it stands for.
And this has all been since March of this year?
March 22nd, 2015, I took my AT Pro out for the very first time. Well, I took it out 2 days earlier on March 20th, like whenever the snow melted, and I had a 4x5 patch of grass in my front yard. I actually went out and did that. I dug that little 4x5 patch, but I went outside. My very first signal was an 82 on the Garrett AT Pro, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get a silver coin. And it was a 65 dime. But you know, the rest is, it's all about where you hunt. You know, it's not how often you hunt. It's the ground that you get on, and you know, whether it's untouched and how old it is and the historical significance of it.
Well, and it is nice to get onto the areas that may not have been hunted at all or not hunted very much. But you see too that a lot of times it translates to time spent into the hobby. You're only going to get out of it what you put into it.
Oh, absolutely. I've had my Pro out since March 22nd. I got to be pushing close to 1,000 hours on it.
Yeah, that's what I think is great. I mean, you got in, you took to it, and now, I mean, look at you. What started it for you, though? You said you had a bounty hunter in 2014, but prior to this, what kind of got you? Did you just think, hey, I'd like to try metal detecting, or, you know, maybe a family member had done it?
Well, actually, I was working at a job, and I knew that my tenure there was coming to an end. And they gave away bonus points every quarter towards a website that you could purchase stuff off of. And it's a huge, there's everything on this website. And I knew my tenure was coming to an end, so whatever it was, like my second to last day or something, I didn't want to lose, because you don't get them. If you leave there, you lose your points. So I wanted to use my points on something, so I'm just scrolling through the website 15 minutes before my shift, and I was like, oh, how about a metal detector? Sure. I mean, just kind of shot in the dark, I just landed on the metal detector page and ordered the bounty hunter, and I got it in the mail. Of course, you know, I'm sure you guys know, everybody, whenever people that don't metal detect think that everybody goes to the beach. So, of course, I went to the beach, dug up.
They think that everybody goes to the beach, wears long black socks and Hawaiian shirts. And
I went to the beach, and I didn't find anything at the beach. I mean, I found, you know, some clad. Actually, I found a Russian ruble. Ruble, I don't know how you pronounce it. And I was with my buddy and actually let him have that, so I don't actually have that coin. But it was, you know, that wasn't a quarter or a dime, so I was all excited. And, you know, from there I started going to different parks, and, you know, didn't really find anything last year, but I started watching videos of other people getting really cool stuff. Like I said, the Hoover Boys are a real big inspiration of mine. I love Kurt. He was my very first subscriber. Me and him actually talk a lot. And over the winter, I watched so many videos that it just hooked me. And my channel, it goes all the way up to number 17. There's more than 17 videos, but if a video has a number on it, that's a hunt. So like my 50 subscriber giveaway, I didn't number that video. That's just a giveaway. That's not a hunt. But it starts with video number 0, and that's me going over what I found the year before. And the main reason I'm doing the YouTube channel is so I can chronicle my growth in the hobby. I mean, I bet you I've watched every one of my videos 10 times. And you can see my growth as you watch these videos. Video number 1, I got my first silver coin. video number 2 and 3, I didn't get any silver coins. It's just me out digging up toy cars and stuff. About $50 in clay because I was at a school. And then you just kind of see me, video number 4, I think it's 4, is whenever I found a park that a corner of this park was untouched. It had to have been because I got 2 barbers, I got 6 or 7 Indian heads, all kinds of cool stuff. I pulled up my only gold about 10 inches deep was a 10 karat gold Knights of Pythias pin. It's about 100 years old in the research that I've done.
Nice.
That's the only gold I've ever got. Yeah, I'll show you that. That one's actually really cool. Let me see. Hopefully I don't skip too bad when I turn my camera on. But, I mean, this was, now in the middle of it, it looks like it's chipping off and it's plated. It's not. There was actually a skull and crossbones that was glued to it, and that's actually glue, and I can't get that glue off. But that's, I mean, there's all the little tiny pieces off of there, and that was, like I said, 10 inches deep, and then the pin's gone on the back, but it's beautiful. I love that thing. But I'm gonna turn my camera back off because I keep skipping when my camera's on. So, you guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Oh, okay. It just went quiet there for a minute.
Well, you've made some nice finds for sure, and this is something where you're going out and enjoying the hobby with your daughter?
Yeah. I mean, in the spring, she went with me almost every time, and she's 7. So once summer come rolling around, she wanted to do her kid stuff during the summer, and I understand. And we were just talking this evening, and she's like, "Okay, summer's over. It's time for me to go digging with you again." So she's gonna start coming with me again, and she films for me. And one of my videos, I really love the video. I don't know what number it is, but the name of it is 9 Silver Coins. We pulled, my buddy invited us, my very first permission actually. He invited us to his house, little house built in 1944, no big deal, and we pulled 7 silver coins out of his yard. I went over by myself the night before and dug for 4 hours, and I got 2 silver coins. And then the next day, me and Addison, that's my daughter, we went over, and in 2 hours, just in this front yard, we got 5 dimes. We got 3 Mercs and 2 Rosies. And
Nice.
she's in that video a lot. I really love that video, mainly because she's in it so much.
Right. Well, it is a hobby that can be enjoyed as a family, and it sounds like you're certainly getting out and enjoying it with your daughter, and the way it sounds, she's kind of taken to it herself.
Yeah, she really enjoys it. I got her a Bounty Hunter Junior for her birthday, and it won't beep a quarter at 2 inches. So unfortunately, she's kind of small for one of the bigger machines. I was thinking about getting her like a 150 or a 250, Ace 150 or 250, but I'm just gonna wait a couple years. She's growing like a beanstalk, so when she gets a little taller, I think I'm just gonna get her an AT Pro or give her my AT Pro. I mean, I don't know where I'm gonna be in a couple years, what I'm gonna be swinging by then, but I'm gonna make sure that she's swinging a nice machine as well.
Right. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Um, so with the time that you have had in the hobby, because I know, like you said, winter just ran on forever. And believe me, I know I'm from Ohio myself. But out of the finds that have been made, do you find yourself like constantly maybe referring back to any one particular find because of the circumstances it was found under or anything like that?
Like a favorite find kind of thing.
Yeah.
My favorite find, I don't know, after 8 or 9 videos, 10 videos maybe, somebody contacted me through Dirt Fishing Ohio and said, hey, you know, I'm from Chardon. Do you want to go digging? I was like, all right, sure, why not? I had no digging buddies. Other than my daughter, I had no digging buddies at the time. I was like, absolutely, let's go. And we went digging one day and we didn't get anything. And then, you know, the next day or a couple days later, we went again and we're digging some school. This is before I was brave enough to get permissions. It takes a lot of bravery to get permissions, but once you get a few under your belt, it's not so hard anymore. But this is whenever I was still really nervous about it.
Right.
And in Chardon Square was built in 1812. Well, they tore a building down that they had there and took the foundation out, and it was about a foot deep from ground level, and they took the foundation out. So we hopped in there, and we're beeping around, and he got his first large scent, and I was so happy for him. He's rinsing it off, and it's in my video. I think it's 12, maybe 11. It's 11. It's video number 11. And then we were with another. He has a Dave's. We were with another guy that has CTX 3030. Is that what it is? The Mine Lab.
Nice machine. I use one. Yeah.
Well, he swung over a spot and didn't get it. My buddy swung over a spot with his Dave's and didn't get it. I swung over the same spot with my AT Pro, and that's when I got my 1834 Cap Plus halftime, and it came out of the ground AU50. It's gorgeous. And I dug that coin and didn't even know what it was. And the guy with the CTX 3030, he knew what it was, and he's flipping out, find of a lifetime, and this and that. So he's getting me all excited. I forgot to film it. It's on there kind of after the fact, but you don't get to see it in the hole. I wish I would have filmed it in the hole, but I dug that, and it started to drizzle a little bit. By the time I got done filming, my big grin, it started pouring. So we ran to the gazebo, and it's pouring. Next day, I'm up, crack of dawn. It's not raining anymore. I get right in my car and go right back to that spot because, I'm going to find more out of there. There's a foot of water in it. And I'm
Wow.
devastated. I went back there every day, and there was a foot of water in it. And then whenever the water went down, they had a big fence around it. I couldn't get in anymore. So, I dug that coin, and the last 2 minutes that place was metal detectable. Is that even a word? If you get,
It'll work, yeah.
5 minutes after I dug that coin, you couldn't dig there anymore. Like, from there until now, now there's a building there. They built another building there. And it's, I don't know, it's like I staved it just at the last second, and it was amazing. That's still it's not my most valuable coin, but it's my favorite coin.
One of your most memorable.
Oh, it's amazing. I love that coin. Like my number one bucket list item at the time was a seated halftime. So I kind of topped it. It was still a halftime, but it was one older, and I didn't even know what it was. I'm kind of learning as I go. You know what I mean? I didn't know anything about coins other than 64 and older silver. It's the only thing I knew. I didn't even know about large cents in March. I had no idea what one of those was until I watched a Stealth Digger video.
Well, that's part of the fun of the hobby, though. For some, is just there's so many different ways to learn things in this hobby as you go, or the research that you're doing or anything like that. It can be educational as well as rewarding in many different ways. So you've been in it since last year. Obviously, you've got a bucket list of finds, I would say, because you had just mentioned about topping what you thought was on the top of your list. If you had your option to go out, tomorrow and dig anywhere, what's that one find that you're hoping to make?
Well, the top thing on my bucket list isn't actually a find. The top thing on my bucket list is I want to dig with Kurt from the Hoover Boys. He was my first subscriber. He's commented on every one of my videos. He's supported me. He always gives me tips. He's just a really, really amazing guy. And it's actually, because of the CWPPO, I'm going to be able to do that next month. And that's my number one thing on my bucket list is I just want to get out and go digging with them. Just hang out. I don't even care if we find anything. I want to eat my lunch with Kurt France. So, and I know he was on the Campfire too, and I'm sure you
And
guys know who he is. Everybody loved him.
and just be able to say, hey, yeah, that's Kurt. I got to meet him.
Yeah, just I got to hang out with him. I got to dig with him. When he comes down here for the CWPPO, along with Utah and whoever wants to go, I'm getting pretty good at permissions. And there's a really old town that was built in 1803, and I want to get some people out on a private permission and just have them remember the whole experience. And they were with me, and we had a great time. As far as something to find that's on the top of my bucket list, I would say coin-wise, I would like to dig anything from the 1700s. I've gotten as early as 1831. That's my earliest large sound. I've got two larges. I've got 1836 and 1831. That's my oldest coin is 1831. I would love to dig anything from the 1700s. I mean, I don't even care.
Really, though, that's not bad for Ohio. That's probably pretty good.
And as far as just overall relics or whatever, I would like to dig a CS buckle or a US buckle. I've actually never dug any Civil War bullets, 3 ringers, 2 ringers. Sam Waters, who I've got to be really good friends with over the past couple of months. She's an amazing, amazing person. She shows me all her stuff that she has, and she's got some really, really cool stuff, and stuff that I didn't even knew existed. And because I know of it now I want to get one. So I'm
Right.
hoping at this Civil War dig that not only do I get some myself, I'm the type of person that if me and you go digging, it's not a competition to me. So
Exactly.
let me give you an example. Video number 16 of mine is called Field of Dreams. Me and Sam, that's my most proud video. Me and Sam go out to that town I told you it was in 1803. We're going to keep that a secret because I don't want to go out there and find nothing because everybody dug it. But together we found 7 coins from the 1800s. She found 3. She actually got a 3-cent nickel. She found a shield nickel. She found a seated dime, and she found an Indian head penny. And I found a large cent, a seated quarter, and an Indian head penny. So I got 3 1800 coins. She got 4 1800s coins. Had she dug all 7, I would have had just as good a time. Now, don't get me wrong. I do want to dig some up too, but I get just as excited running over to yours and, oh, what do you got? And cracking out my camera and filming you and just seeing the look on your face and just seeing what you pulled out of the ground means almost as much to me as it does to you. I'm like that in love with the hobby. I like to
Right.
see everybody like.
That's a great way to look at it. It's a great perspective to have. I know a lot of times with myself, it's not so much being competitive. I mean, it's nice to have a little friendly competition sometimes, maybe, but for me, the competition is just with myself. Hey, I found this, but what else is out there? Can I find one better? Can I find one nicer, older? Not
Yeah,
necessarily not necessarily, oh, I'm going to be a better hunter than they are or something like that.
right. Well, exactly, and I kind of think along the same mentality. So, I actually got lucky and got the first old coin, and that was a 1836 large cent, which was really super cool because we were at a house that was built in 1836. I still have that coin, but I'm gonna figure out some kind of a way to mount it, and I'm gonna go and give it to that guy at that house that let us dig. They were amazing, amazing people. They cooked us dinner. I mean, it wasn't even an option. They came down and said, "Okay, dinner's ready," and we were like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, we're not asking. We already cooked it for you." We cooked these big fat burgers on the cob.
Wow.
They were so cool. I mean, they were as excited as we were. Like I would dig something up and get all excited, and they would come running down. What'd you get? What'd you get? I don't get
Right.
too excited with the exception of that. When I dug that seeded quarter, I've been looking for a seeded coin. It's been on my bucket list for a long time, and whenever I plucked it out of the ground, it was black. And at first glance, because of the way she's seated and everything, I thought it was like a half penny or something. And then it kind of hit me what it was, and I dropped it like it was on fire and just stood up and ran around like KG and Ringy. I mean, I know everybody hates whenever they run around and hoot and holler, but I don't care. I was so excited. I was, Sam, get over here, get over here, get over here. It was just such an amazing. I'm getting goosebumps about it.
Oh
But
yeah, I mean that's great to be excited about it like that, and you've definitely got an enthusiasm with the hobby, and that's the great thing to see because the hobby really does need the people with the enthusiasm like that you've got. So definitely good job to you. Kudos and congratulations for getting into the hobby, and hopefully you stick with it, although it sounds like you're not planning on getting out anytime soon at all.
I'm hooked, and my wife is real supportive of it. I mean, she gets as excited as I do, and like I said, my daughter. I got a 20-month-old son, which you're actually looking at his picture with his cool little gangster hat on, and I'm hooked. I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, my AT Pro, I've already busted 4 things on it because it's just wore. I mean, I pretty much wore it out already. I called Garrett, and I was on the phone with the lady for 5 minutes. Okay, I'll send you all new stuff. No big deal. Okay, cool. And it was like so easy. I was so scared to call him because I thought she was going to want my machine to fix it, and I was going to be without a machine, so I just taped it all together. I didn't want to be without my machine.
Right. They
Got
they
big
usually
dig.
are very good about customer service though.
Oh, she was amazing. But since we got this big dig coming, I wanted to make sure my machine was tip top. Just stupid little stuff like the arm cuff broke and the little tightener bolt for the oil broke. Just little stuff, nothing major.
Right.
Things still work beautifully.
Awesome. Utah,
Yes, sir.
go ahead and give it
I,
back to you.
we do have a few questions from the external. Rusty Halo, or Megan, she wants to know what's the mintage on the cap dime, the years minted, and etc.
You know,
Yeah,
I
find any
don't
of that in your research?
percentage. It was like 9 or 10 million. It wasn't a small number. The coin's worth about 175. By the way, Megan, I love the video of you and Kurt. It was awesome.
It
I,
really was.
it really was a good video. Um, yeah, and just from the comments that she's posted in the Hoover Boys, he's been helping her a lot too, and like digging the deeper, scratchier signals that she's commented on how that's helped her. That's the same way has helped me. I mean, I almost kind of model myself after the way he digs, and not just him. I take a little bit from everybody, but just the way Kurt presents himself is just amazing, and I'm actually really jealous, Megan, because you got to dig with him. But I'm going to cross it off my bucket list, October 23rd. I'm crossing it right off.
Yeah, well, she is now subbed to you, by the way. She just
Oh,
did that.
awesome.
So thanks, Megan. Also, want to know, First Capital Digger wants to know what part of Ohio do you hunt? Northeast, southwest?
I hunt Northeast Ohio, Lake County, Geauga County. I've been doing good, so I haven't really ventured out into Ashtabula County. My video number 16, when I went out with Sam, that was in like mid-east Ohio, I guess you'd call it. South of Youngstown. Really super, super old town. But yeah, that's where I hunt, and I love digging, buddy. So if anybody's around me, feel free to send me a message. I do have a Facebook page called Dirt Fishing Ohio. You can find me there. You can send me messages on there. If you ever want to get together and dig, I'm always about a dig, especially now that it's cooling off. I can't wait for tomorrow. I haven't posted a video in like 2 weeks just because it's like 90 degrees. I've tried to dig. I go out, and after a half hour, I got to just pack it in.
I know your Facebook name is a little bit different than your YouTube name. Do you want to put that out there on what that is?
Well, my Facebook page is my Facebook page. I have the page that is Dirt Fishing Ohio, but my Facebook account is at Wits End Softball. That's what it's been for years. I actually run my own adult softball team, and that page started just so I can get information on players.
Okay.
So that's
I just knew when people were looking for you, if they were looking for Dirt Fishing Ohio as an account on there, they wouldn't find it. It's actually the group name. But um, First Capital Digger also wants to know what type of land do you prefer to hunt? Do you prefer to hunt woods, fields, yards?
I prefer to hunt private permissions. I prefer to hunt people's yards, mainly their front yards. I'm really, really super, super careful whenever I dig holes. I don't have a leash yet, but I use a very small spade. It's not a handheld, but it's only maybe 2 feet long. The whole shovel itself, and it's got a really small head on it, and I'm very, very careful. But I've had the most luck in 18, let's just say 19, 20 and older houses, because I'll just go into those neighborhoods and just look for houses to look for permissions, and usually right along the sidewalk that goes up to their houses where I find a lot of the stuff. People walking down the
Exactly.
sidewalk 100 years ago that dropped a coin, and that's currently that's my favorite place to go out digging, is to get on some fresh ground that no one's cut into ever.
Um, Hey, Swansea, I think that answered the questions that we have right now from the external. People in the external, don't forget, if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. We'll get them asked and get them answered for you if we can. Swansea, if you're ready, I'll pass the torch over to you and let you.
I do have a question or two.
Okay.
I know that you talk about doing a lot of parks and a lot of permissions. You guys must have some sort of farm fields or hay fields up there. Have you had an opportunity to maybe detect in any of those places?
Actually, I haven't yet. Um, where I live is in the burbs of Cleveland, but I mean, I can go 15 miles east or southeast, and it starts turning into fields. If I go 45 to 50 miles west, it starts turning into cornfields. Before I was brave enough to ask for permissions, I would always drive by those places and drool and just think, oh, I gotta ask them, I gotta ask them. And then by the time I built up the nerve to ask, a lot of them were cornfield.
A lot of those can be an absolute nightmare to metal detect. And when you're bouncing the coil off the corn stalks,
Right, well, and I didn't want to tear, because the corn's growing, I didn't want to hurt that. And, being kind of a rookie at the time, all these text messages. Wait for them to harvest their corn or whatever they're, farming at the time. And once that's gone, I'm going to go start knocking on the farm doors and
well, and
asking
the
them.
good thing to do in that situation is, tell them that you're going to show them what you pull out of the field, and being that they're growing actual food, one thing that the farmers that, of course, that I like to detect with, they like to see how much lead you're pulling out of the ground.
Right, find out how many hunters are coming through.
It's that and the lead that actually can affect the crops, and the larger pieces of metal, the pieces of iron that might ruin plow equipment, and even luckily you'll get an occasion where you find a piece of a plow or something and they may need that part or want to keep it as well. There's a lot of good ways to get in with those farmers to be able to state your case and make it look like you're not just trying to rob the good things off the property, but also tell them how much stuff you're pulling out of the ground that's actually going to help their crop.
Right, yeah, that's actually really cool. That's information that I could use. I appreciate it.
So now you said you would mention a couple things on your bucket list. Now, of course, where you live in Ohio, it's going to be difficult, and this dig coming up might help you with that. Now, if it wasn't a Civil War related item, what else would you like to find? What's your number one coin that you'd like to find? I know you said 1700s. Now, would that be a King George copper? Would that be a real? What would that be?
Well, again, I'm not that versed in coins. So when I say any 1700s, that would be really super cool. One thing I would like to find is uh, any of the 1800s half dollars. you know, whether it be seated or even a barber or, you know, I have four $half. I got a Kennedy clad and I got three silver walkers, but those are all newer. You know what I mean? So I would really like to dig, or even like a silver dollar, old Morgan silver dollar would be really cool. I don't. There's nothing really that like stands out by itself. Like I have to have one of these before I die. I'm not really versed enough in coins yet to be able to. I mean, most of these old coins, whenever I find them, I gotta look at what they are.
Right.
So I'm finally starting to get to the point where I got my bearings a little bit. You know, from like mid 1800s on, I got those down pat. But now once you start getting into the older ones, you know, I'm sure like everybody else is, on 10 different metal detecting chat pages. And people are posting the King Georges, and there's different ones, you know, 6 and 7. And I'm just starting to get into the research of finding out what these are. Now with the large cents, I didn't even know there were different ones until I dug one. I dug one up, and I was like, oh, cool, it's a large cent. And I was with my buddy Mike, and he's like, oh, which one is it? I was like, what do you mean, which one is it? Is there more than one? So then he looked it up, and because of that, I went home and did my research on it. And I still don't know the exact dates of all of them, but you know, now I understand that they made different ones, and you know, depending on which way they're facing, and you know, you can kind of tell in case it doesn't have a date. But I was lucky enough to where both mine had dates on them.
Well, that's kind of the fun of this hobby too, is whether it's a relic or a coin, the research that comes afterwards, I think, is one of the better parts of the hobby, to be honest with you.
I think the number one thing that I found out about a large cent that I would like to share with everybody is do not get it wet and do not put it in olive oil. You take it, you scrape it with a toothpick, you take a little bit of oil from your face and you rub it on it, and that's as far as you go with it. If you do anything else to it, you're going to ruin it.
I can give you another little good hint to do with that too, is if you get a large cent out of the ground and you're going to be detecting for a while, take some of the same dirt that came out of the ground with it and actually pack it in that dirt in your pouch or in your official tack box, whatever you bring with you, and it'll actually preserve it the same way it was when it came out of the ground, preventing it from drying out before you get a chance to clean it properly.
Oh, right. Yeah, I never even thought of that. I tell you, now that you mention that, one thing I do, and it's kind of superstitious, is I wear a vest. So it's a fly fishing vest that I got from Gander Mountain. It's got all different. Like my one pocket has my Garrett carrot, you know, and I use one pocket for junk. I use one pocket for scrap. I use one pocket for clad. I have one pocket that's got the little. I bought the little plastic fishing container to put the cool stuff in. Well, dirt accumulates in the bottom of that. So anytime I go to a new place, I reach in that pocket and I sprinkle some of the dirt from the old place on the new place, because I know I found stuff at the old place, and I sprinkle the dirt from the old place on the new place just for good luck.
Now you just ruined my next question. My next question is I'm superstitious as well, and if I find a little piece of a brick or a little piece of pottery, I put it in my pocket just to say that I got it there, and that kind of ties in the history of the land. It sounds like you're pretty much almost doing the same type of thing.
Yeah, the dirt in my pocket, I know I found something there. I just want to sprinkle that on a new spot so that I'll find something on the new spot too. Doesn't always work, but I've been pretty lucky so far.
No, not lucky. You've done well.
I've done well. I mean, I contributed a little. It's you know, I done well, but you know, a lot of it's luck too.
Now, here's another question that I have for you, too, and this is probably the last one that I have because Josh touched on a lot of this. Do you have you gone on to like historic aerials over the current maps or current places where you metal detect and just see if there was any activity that went back and find the oldest possible history of that area?
I haven't actually done that. There's that one website that used to do the overlays that they don't anymore. I forget what it's called, Aerial Historical Maps or something. Sam actually started teaching me how to do that just recently, so I've been doing it a little bit. But before that, I would just do research on the town, and I would find out where the oldest part of that specific town is. You know, I live in Lake County, so old towns in Lake County are Painesville. You know, Mentor's kind of old. Chardon's real old in Geauga County. So what I'll do is I'll start doing research. I'll use Mentor, for example. I'll start doing research about Mentor, and then okay, well, at such and such an intersection that I don't want to give away, it was the oldest place. The old town hall used to be here. These first few streets over here where the first few houses was. So then that's where I'll go and I'll park my car. I'll pull Zillow out, and I'll just start Zillowing all the houses, and you can get an idea of where the first house was built and how it spread from there. And that's kind of the research that I'm on right now, just so I can make sure I'm digging a house that's 100 plus years old. I mean, if it's not 100 years old, I generally don't dig it. I mean, if I get permission, I'm going to come dig it. Don't get me wrong. But,
Right.
I
Here's your chance, Chris. And just joined in the chat room is Mr. Kurt Franz. If you want to tell him anything that you said earlier before he joined, now would be the time to do it.
Kurt Franz, huh? Wow. I'm like a little kid. I got a big smile on my face.
I know, right?
Starstruck here. Well, to touch on what I said earlier, just, Kurt was my very first subscriber. He actually subscribed to me before I even had any videos, only because I started watching his videos. He had, I don't know, 200-300 subscribers at the time. And, I mean, back whenever he was just had a few videos himself, and I just really enjoyed his videos, and I really enjoyed the way he presented himself, and just seemed like the real deal. And he always answered my questions. He always helped me out a lot. Dig it all. That's true. Dig it all, because I've dug some scratchy garbage iron. Came up on the VDI as 20, and it's something really super cool. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of starstruck here.
Yeah, well, you also need to touch on what you mentioned earlier too. Was would you say your bucket list find or bucket list situation might be?
On my bucket list, Kurt. They asked me what the #1 bucket list thing for me is, and I already told Kurt. He already knows. So the #1 thing on my bucket list is to dig with Kurt from the Hoover Boys, and I'm going to get that opportunity October 23rd. I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to have to beg Sam to put me on his team.
All right, Utah. That's pretty much all I had right there, buddy.
Okay.
I'm having a really big. Well, not really big. I'm hoping it's really big, but I'm having a big spaghetti dinner fundraiser, and I'm hoping to raise a lot of money. So maybe I could use that as a little bit of clout to. Okay, I donate the money, and put me on Kurt's team.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk about that here in just a second, because I am going to switch gears and talk about the CWPPO and the fund and the fundraising. And the reason I'm doing that is because there's a lot of questions out there, even from the crew members, because it is a little bit confusing as to how we can go about getting funds and what kind of fundraisers we do, and the different type of sponsorships we're looking for, and the different things we can and cannot do as far as sponsorships are concerned. So we're going to go ahead and switch gears to that. And if people don't realize, Josh is the communications coordinator for the CWPPO. I am the fund, I guess you call it the fundraising or the fundraiser coordinator. I'm over the different funding coordinator of the CWPPO. Then Dirtfish in Ohio is actually the fundraiser coordinator. Basically, I'll deal with sponsorships and answering questions about what we can and cannot do. Dirtfishing Ohio answers questions about different types of fundraisers and what you can and can't do and how you have to go about doing those, and different questions you may have about those. And so we'll talk about a little bit of that and answer some questions that anybody might have to see, how they can help raise funds for the CWPPO and the dig that's going to happen, as well as for future digs. Before I do that, though, there was a giveaway on our family campfire a couple weeks ago done by Mr. MC Digger. He actually did 3 giveaways, and I have not done an unboxing video yet, simply because I wanted to wait and do it on here, since it was on here that I actually won it. But on that giveaway, I actually won a dandy button from him. And here's a little note that he gave me. Just said, "Congratulations, Here's the Tommy one. You know, thanks Tom and NC Digger. The envelope it came out of. I actually got my NC Digger business card, which is amazing. Always awesome to have. And on the back, of course, it has his codes of conduct for the hobby, which are awesome codes that everybody in the hobby should live by. But I want to show the dandy button, the Tomback dandy button that I actually got. Try to get it so there's not as much of a glare on it. But there's the front of the dandy button. An awesome little design in the center. The shank is broke off, but it's still great just the same, and especially because of who dug it. But there's my little win. Thanks again, NC Digger, for that and for the giveaway and the chances that you gave everybody on the chat. I know he usually comes back and watches these after the fact if he can't make it in during it. So thanks a bunch, NC Digger. It was greatly appreciated, and I'll always cherish that. Moving on, the CWPPO. This is an amazing thing. You know, the history that we get to tell and the stories that we're being able to tell of these people that fought and died for their beliefs over 150 years ago is just an amazing opportunity for us. But the story itself it's over 150 years in the making, and it's too late. I mean, it's 150 years late from when the story needed to be told. So it's about darn time that we actually get it out there. We do have funding that we have to cover for that, because with over 80 crew members and at least 100 to 150 different helpers, that expenses for that alone for just for lodging and food for the crew members is unreal. So there are a few different ways people can help. Like you had mentioned, fundraisers. What kind of fundraiser? I think you said you're doing a spaghetti dinner. How do you go about setting those up if somebody had the idea of wanting to do something like that?
Well, what I did, I throw darts in league on Wednesday night. So we have our home bar, and then we travel, bar and grill, and we travel to other bars too. So, and I've done that for like 10 years. So, I get to know all these different places. Well, the place I went to is called Glory Days Bar and Grill. That's the first thing you do. You go in and you get your venue. And I went in. The guy's name is Mike. He's a real cool guy. And he's like, sure, let's do it. And he's just going to charge me a few bucks a plate just to cover his costs. And, I'm selling $15 a ticket. And then myself and my wife, it's not just me, are getting donations from local restaurants and sports teams and sports places and gyms, and we have over 100 places that we're trying to get donations from. And we get all of our donations and we put them in different baskets, and we have what's called a Chinese auction, which you build different, for those of you that don't know what it is, you build different baskets, and I hope you get 15 to 20 baskets, and you put a little paper bag in front of it, and then you sell tickets, 6 for $5 or 25 for $20, and then people can choose what prize they want to try to get, and they just go put their tickets in the bag, and then at the end of the night, you pull the ticket out of the bag, and they win that prize. So, we'll do a 50-50, and, that's going to help cover some of my costs, because I'm actually going to spend a week out there being on the board. It's not just going to be the 3 days. I'm going to be there helping set up and, everything that's involved with it. Plus, I promised Utah and Kurt both that I was going to get them on a super sweet permission, so I better make sure I can deliver on that. And I'm hoping to raise a couple grand. That's my goal anyway. I've done it. I've done it plenty of times before. For myself, my screen name is at Wits End Softball. Like I said, I run my own softball team. I have for 15 years, and we got a full sponsor now. But before we did, we had to come up with our own money, and it's like 150, 160 bucks a guy. Well, am I supposed to ask people to pay $150 just to come play softball on Sunday? So we would have these dinners, and we always raise between $1,500 and a couple grand. So That's what I set my goal at, and if I can come up with that and even be able to take a few bucks off of everybody's bill, it makes me feel that much better. I'm all in about this project, and I want it to be about the history and everything that's associated with, and help alleviate people's costs so they're not worried about their money so much as they are digging up some amazing things.
Exactly. Oh, and I do want to throw this out there though. When you say a few dollars off everyone's bill, the diggers and the crew members of this, they're not going to get a bill for their lodging. They don't have to cover all their lodging. It's all together out of the fund. We're hoping to
Right.
get all of it covered with the fund.
Yeah,
So,
I kind of misworded that. I didn't mean to quite say it like that, but
and that's the only reason I throw that out there is because there has been a lot of confusion on this on the site and what all the different diggers are responsible for covering. Um, hey, Josh, do you have anything to add on that part of it?
There has been a lot of confusion, and in a situation like this with a project of this sort of scale, it's very easy to jump to conclusions. And a lot of people do think that, oh, wait a minute, well, now it's this, or now it's this, and you're going to have people out there too that are going to try to help spread rumors about this. So it's good that you do bring that up, Utah, about, there isn't, each digger doesn't have a personal bill, but that's why we are continually pushing. We can't stress enough how important these fundraisers are that we're trying to do, like the GoFundMe, the dinner that Chris was talking about. Sam's working on a dinner as well. There's auctions going on. there's there's people setting up even like little jugs for people to drop change in at say VFW or something like that. Every little bit like this that goes towards that fund to help cover these costs and everything, every little bit helps.
oh
Just
yeah,
because one person's only got, say, they were only able to get $5 in donations while the next person got 50, great. Every little bit helps, and we're going into this as a group. This project is being pulled off as a group of us, not this person's here or this person's here. The group is helping to bring this to light. So if everybody can pitch in with just a little bit of something, it all adds up, and we're going to be able to get this done.
yep. Pennies turn into dollars.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, and to mention that you mentioned the different buckets that people are putting up at the VFWs and their Legion halls and places like that. Um, I do want to throw this out there. Jeff Miller, he's on the crew, and he is actually going above and beyond with his part alone of it. Um,
Jeff
I
has
mean,
been doing phenomenal.
he really is. He's got buckets up at the Legion Hall. He's got them up at the VFW. He's got them up at his local hair salon. Um, he's got buckets put up around town, and just in different shops for people to donate to if they see fit. He'll put a little paragraph on there about what the hunt is about, what it is we're doing, and let people decide for themselves if they want to donate. Um, and his reception for that has been
Very
outstanding.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, almost everyone that he's come across has said, sure, yeah, we'd love to have a bucket put in here for that. We'll help you out however we can. Um,
What I think is great about that with Jeff, because I've talked to him, and it's almost like he's coming at it with this mentality of trying. I'm tackling this single-handedly. I'm doing everything I can. I hope it's enough. And the guy has just done so much.
yeah, I mean, he's even went to his local coin shop and purchased some barber dimes and some mercury dimes, and he's actually taken those to a jeweler, and he's gotten holes put in them and little pendant rings put on them and turned them into pendants for necklaces. that he's going to be selling. Um, you know, he'll probably sell them for $20 a piece, and you get a really cool old, you know, barber dime pendant to wear on a necklace or a bracelet or whatnot. I mean, it's just really cool little item. Of course, it's more about the donation than it is the item, but at least you get a little something back with it, and it's really neat that he's thought about doing stuff like that. Um,
I'd like to touch on something there too, Utah, as well as there's nothing that's going to be able to be accepted as far as like to the hotel the day of the event. You can't pay for a room when you get there. They will not accept your money or meals. Isn't that correct?
that is correct. The fund is paying for everything with the lodging wise for the crew. So the crew, whenever they show up, they cannot walk up to the desk of the hotel and pay for their room. It will not be accepted. The money has to be put into the fund beforehand, and the tickets will be then for the tickets for the room will be given to Sam, and she'll mail them out to you in your welcome packet. That is why we need the fund to the crew to all make their donations to the fund before October 2nd, so that she has a chance to get that money into the lodge so that she can get the tickets and then sort them and be able to get them mailed out to the different crew members, and the crew members receive them in time to come to the dig.
And in the same respect too, I think ahead of time that, you know, like I said, I've been to group hunts before where people will bring a Morgan dollar and they'll sell a ticket for $2 a piece or whatever. And we were talking about this before the show started. These people, a lot of people are coming from different parts of the country where they're already donating ahead of time. They're paying for their travel expenses to get there. That's not the time to put in a donation for a raffle. Now is the time to do that. Get it in the different groups out there on Facebook. Make sure the money's put into that fund ahead of time. That way it's not necessarily just the people doing the dig. A lot of other people have the opportunity to get something for a donation and not put it entirely on the 80 or so diggers that are going to be at the site.
Exactly. The more, of course, with any fund, the more outside funds you can get to help with the funding, the better. And this is no different in that aspect. You know, yes, having things there to have auctions on site to help cover the remaining balance of the fund that'll be needed, that's always great. But but like you said, it is better. Just get a hold of Sam. Um, she's more than happy to give you her address if there's something you want to donate for auctioning. She on her Facebook group, Backyard Diggers. She's holding auctions all the time on there, different little items. Go on there and check them out. If there's something you want to send her to her now, so she has a chance to get that out there, and other people can bid on those items.
Something I want to touch on with that is she's gotten a lot of donations, and you know, some people are wondering how come my item isn't up yet. Well, she's cranking them out as fast as she can. Unfortunately, she hasn't got to everybody's yet, but they will get posted. So she's just kind of overwhelmed. I think, I mean, the CWPPO, I mean, we've been doing this for, what, 6, 7 weeks now, and I don't know that anybody could have anticipated how big this has gotten. So, you know, we just need to cut her a little bit of slack. She's an amazing person, and she's doing an amazing job. And
She really is. And she's got a lot on her plate now. If people haven't realized this, this has gone international now. We will have diggers showing up, at least one from across the pond. Um, I know Danny, Mr. Crabinet is showing up from the Netherlands. We have diggers coming down from Canada to help dig on this. I believe it's the Relic Rescue Crew is coming down. So it's a multinational thing now, but we're also getting advertising for it in Italy and in the UK and all over the US for it. It's already international advertising on this. So,
and this is just in like 6 or 7 weeks. No, I mean,
exactly.
it's just gone gangbusters.
It's really neat to see how far this has spread already in such a short amount of time. But
And just for a guy like Danny to come from the Netherlands, like he's coming from, and I talked to him about this personally, he said this is obviously we're not going to find things as old as what he finds, but this intrigues him so much to actually be able to put a part of history on the books, put historical markers out there. They're not in place yet. It's totally different than just going to a Civil War known site and digging up some 3-ring bullets and maybe some 2-ring Confederate bullets. This is actually helping put that on the map for the state of Ohio.
It
That's
really is.
I'm
It's
so excited about that.
it's awesome because, you know, historically speaking, this battle, this was the furthest north point that the Confederate Army ever made it during the Civil War. This is the farthest north battle that ever took place. And right now, historically speaking, it's not down as a battle, even though it was one. It's just down as a small skirmish. Um, but there is historical fact records that show over 3,000 Union troops and nearly 400 Confederate troops. Um, with that much manpower in an hour and a half long fight, I mean, there's no other word for it, but that was an hour and a half battle that took place. So when we find these relics and we're able to prove that, yes, there was an actual battle here just by the sheer amount of what we're finding and the different items that we find, um, that alone changes history. And that alone will put this battle on the field. This is basically like, it's almost like finding the Gettysburg of Ohio, to where, you know, Gettysburg, they knew it was a battle from the get-go, but if they didn't, and they found that out after the fact, that's exactly what this would end up being. You know, it wasn't as devastating or as an important a battle as Gettysburg, but it is to Ohio because this is the one battle that they had there.
Well, I think any battle during the Civil War was an important battle.
Oh yeah, I don't mean to make it sound like it wasn't. It's just, historically speaking, it's amazing. This is a once in a lifetime thing, and probably the last time that an actual battle will have been found, um, and actually put on markers for, because I mean, granted, after 150 years, everybody doing research on this, you're not going to find very many of these. So
It's very exciting. I mean, there's going to be kids writing reports about it in the future, and it's going to be us that found it. And I'm so excited, and I'm so proud that it's in my state, and I could be a part of it. It's unbelievable.
You know, I'll tell you, Chris, I'm so proud to be a part of it, and it's not in my state, and that's the even better part of it to me is, you know, for some of us that are coming from outside of Ohio, I'm sure the guys in Ohio, this is an elation factor for them, but for the people that are coming from outside of their own states, to be able to come into you guys' state and be part of this, to me, that is absolutely epic.
yeah,
And I'll tell you what, for those that are coming out of the out from outside of the state, those of us here in Ohio are very honored to have the high caliber people like that involved in this with us.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we hope we'll be good hosts for you.
and if anyone wants to donate to the GoFundMe account, I see someone asked if we could link the put a link on there for it. You can't actually put a link in the external, but I will tell everybody, if you go to www.gofundme.com/CWPPO and hit enter, that will take you directly to the CWPPO GoFundMe page.
And it has to be lowercase letters.
Right.
No, in that one it doesn't matter.
Well, no, not for the address, but if you search GoFundMe, it has to be lowercase, I believe.
Correct, because the capitals do not work.
If you search for the GoFundMe for CWPPO, for some reason even the lowercase did not come up yesterday. That part was down. I don't know why when you search for CWPPO it didn't come up, but it doesn't. You have to type it in the address bar.
Or for those that follow the Beyond Sight and Sound domain, they can find all the information right there too.
Awesome. That's good news. Also, if you just do a search for hashtag CWPPO, you'll be able to find all the links and everything and the different messages that come up on there about it as well.
Yeah, or you can go on any of our YouTube, or any of our Facebook pages. I posted it on mine. Utah posted it on his. Josh posted it on his. I mean,
Yeah. And
you go
it's
to
a
any one
tagged
of the
post
pages.
for
There's a
the Beyond Sight and Sound group members. Pin post, I mean, at the top of the group.
There's also a
So,
PayPal account you can go to as well if you want to just go to PayPal and donate. It's under SammyGirl75 at iCloud.com.
and speaking of Sammy Girl, Sam has just entered the external. Hello, Sam. Um,
Oh.
awesome to see you out there. Um, it, it's amazing. I mean, the history that we're able to tell, to find, and the story we're able to tell is just all awe-inspiring. I've always been in love with, of course, being from the South, the Confederate side of this story, and being in Texas, we don't have any battlegrounds that happen here. There's a couple skirmishes that happen along the coast. Um, So metal detecting wise, I never thought I'd be able to find anything Civil War related. To actually be a part of this and to have that opportunity, um, and the opportunity to tell the story of these people there, it really hits home. It's really, really an honor. But yeah, anything people can do. If you think that there's something out there that you want to do, you have, this old treasure that you dug that is sitting in a box somewhere that you're not displaying or never going to display, but it's still a really cool relic, and you're thinking, what can I do with this? It's just sitting here collecting dust, and you want to donate it to where it will have a good home and people will appreciate it and respect it. Donate that. Send it in. Feel free. If you have something, an old coin or something that's sitting around, or duplicates in your collection that you don't really want, send them to Sam. She'll put them on a page in an auction, and the money will go to a good cause. It'll go to helping us recover this history.
That and it's something as simple as, a bag of clad that you've been holding on to for a year that, you just clean them up in a rock tumbler. You don't want to do anything with them. Bring them to the bank, send them in, and make a donation with it.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many different things people can do if they just try to do it. I mean, it's there and it's able to be done. It just needs the people to actually do it. Um, Looks like we lost Josh. Maybe he's just refreshing. I don't know. If not, good night, Josh. If so, hurry back. Um, yeah, it's a great opportunity. I can't wait. And people, get out and do stuff. Even if it's going onto the page and placing bids on items that you want to win. If you want to make your donation that way, then that's great. Go on to Backyard Diggers on Facebook and place a bid on those items.
Yeah, I mean some of the bigger names in metal detecting that have sponsors. Call your sponsor. Tell them what you're doing. Just tell them to hook you up with a monetary donation. I bet they will.
Yeah, and that's another thing is, when you get sponsors for this, um, I want to touch on this because it's been brought up in the group that in the challenge had been put out there, but it really wasn't able to be done. The White's is the exclusive manufacturer sponsor for this event. So if you go to a sponsor, like say if you're sponsored by Garrett or your YouTube channel is sponsored by Garrett, um, you can go to Garrett and say, hey, I want you to make a donation to me for this project. You can do that all day long, but you can't go to Garrett and say, I want you to sponsor the CWPPO for this event, because White's already has that exclusive sponsorship. So you can go to Garrett and say, can you sponsor me, $500 to go to this, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. I'll throw it out there left and right. that you paid for me to go to this, or you sponsored me to go to this dig, but you're sponsoring that. They're sponsoring you, not the CWPPO.
What about an independent dealer?
As it stands, we are working on a deal with an independent dealer to be an exclusive independent dealer for that. So it will be the same aspect. If you go to a local dealer that you trust and go to all the time, and they want to donate a machine for you to auction off, that's great. But they need to make the donation to you, and then you can make it to the CWPPO, or you can put it up for auction, or however you want to deal with that.
Okay.
Right,
But
exactly. Like I sent a letter out to Fisher, and they responded, and I think they're going to donate some things, and I'm going to use it at my fundraiser to make money with. And then after everything is said and done, Dirt Fishing Ohio is
But they
going to make.
donated it to you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
yeah, I can hear you.
They donated it to you directly.
Yeah, they donate to me. I get the funds for it, and then I make a donation on behalf of Dirt Fishing Ohio to the CWPPO, and that's
Okay.
cut and dry.
Exactly. And the reason that we're doing that even with retailers or distributors right now is because we are working on a deal for an exclusive dealership to show up and have the rights to that as well. That the dealership aspect of that may change depending on if this deal goes through or not. If it does, it'll be a great thing that we have an exclusive sponsor for the retail aspect of it also. But if it doesn't, then we have other avenues that we can pursue after that.
Maybe we should get a big RV company to sponsor us, and I'll go pick everybody up.
Yeah.
You'll be driving around the country for a while, and if you're going to drive to get Danny, you better get some really good pontoons on the side of that thing.
Yeah, there's people coming from all over the country for that, so that would be kind of hard logistically speaking to make that around.
No,
That would remind me of the Oscar Wienermobile going coast to coast, you know?
Yeah, that's about what it would end up being. I mean, there are literally people coming from all over for this. It's just amazing, and the amount, like I was saying before, the amount of actual interest in this that we're getting from overseas is amazing. And I want to thank all the people in Europe, um, in Italy, and all the places over there that are interested in this and showing the interest. You know, thank you for that. That's really.
It's crazy. It went from, a group dig to it's taken on a life of its own. You know, I can't even describe how big it's gotten and how quickly.
Yeah.
It's like wildfire.
You know, I can't
Yeah,
wait for this dig, but I can't wait for the future ones.
Yeah, the future ones, and that's another thing. The CWPPO, the fund that we're raising, of course, it's covering all the lodging expenses this year for the crew. But it is for future digs as well. There's going to be the CWPPO does not end after this dig is over. The plans for the CWPPO is at least an annual hunt every year, and they're going to be backtracking Morgan's Trail. The plans are to backtrack Morgan's Trail all the way through to its beginning, at least all the way through Ohio. And that's Sam. Once she sets her mind to something, she does it, and that's what she set her mind to do. And so there's no reason for me to think that it won't get done.
Yeah, she's amazing. For those of you that don't know her, I know her personally now. I just met her a few months ago, but we've become pretty good friends, and she is amazing.
She
She's one of
really
my
is.
people.
For this to come together this quickly, you know, in this amount of time, to have another year's worth of planning for next year, I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, she's got, and next year's just the tip of it. I guarantee you, she's already got stuff going for the next 3 to 4 years lined up. At least the beginning part of it, in her mind anyway, of what she wants to do. I'm sure she already has that. Yeah, see, she's just committed. You got it. That's the way it is. But yeah, the CWPPO is going to be going on long and strong after this dig is over. This is just the main battle of Morgan's Trail and the farthest north point of the Civil War. So this, historically speaking, is the most significant part of Morgan's Trail. Um, and that's one reason that, along with the size of the land that we're digging on, is the main reason of it being such a big event. Um,
I think another good thing to mention too, Utah, at this point is, there are people that are coming to the hunt in the chat as well. The release of pictures and videos and stuff like that, not to be released during the days of the digging until it's all said and done with.
exactly. We'll everybody that shows up that's digging, almost everybody that shows up that's digging, has their own YouTube channel that they put out videos on. They have their members of different Facebook groups and such that they share finds with and their excitement with, and we encourage that. However, do not share any videos of the finds, any videos or pictures of where you're hunting or the ground you're hunting on or anything like that until after the dig is over. Reason being is we don't want anyone showing up. They'll say, "Oh, I know where that's at. I drive past there 3 times a month." We don't want anyone showing up at night and sabotaging anything. We don't want anybody showing up before the dig or before the dig is over and sneaking on there and trying to gather items for themselves. It's not going to a historical society.
Right. Or even showing up during the dig, wondering why we won't let them on the property. Oh, well, I'm here to help. Well, you're not a part of it. It's just easier this way.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and it's not that we're trying to be mean or exclude anybody specifically from the dig. It's just, it is organized. She knows how many people she needs on the team, and she has those people. Now, she does have a waiting list of people that want to get on it and that she would like to have on it, but the crew is full. So if there are people, and I'm sure there will be because there always is, if there are people that something happens and can't show up, then that waiting list, the people on that will be subbed in and take those spots. So if somebody shows up at the hunt expecting to help out, if they're not, help out with digging, if they're not on the crew, that's not going to happen. I mean, there's no offense or anything mean towards them, but it just ain't going to happen. You're not on the crew. Put your name in the hat for next year. But for this dig, it's not going to be that way.
But wouldn't you agree also that if people know that they're invited to this dig, the sooner that you can't make it, which I was in that Jeopardy line too as well, if I know I couldn't make it, I would tell people as soon as possible and not wait till the day of. That way those people in the alternate wings have a chance to get in.
Exactly. I had the guy I work for, my manager at work. He's pretty new to the hobby, but he's always been in love with Civil War history. He grew up in Virginia, living on an old Civil War plantation that was actually built for a general's mistress. But he grew up around the Civil War history. He's always been infatuated with it, and he's loved it. I actually, we had his name in as part of the crew. But things came up at work to where he's not going to be able to make it. So as soon as we found out that he wasn't going to be able to make it, he withdrew his name from the list so that someone else can fill that spot. So yeah, let us know the sooner the better. And it sounds like out in the external, it sounds like there might be a slight problem. Kurt, if you are out of foo-foo juice, you are in dire trouble, my friend. What are you going to do when you pull out that next shiny bingo?
I've run out of foo-foo before.
I mean, I guess he could always have Brad lick on it until it gets clean, but it's just not the same.
Sam just made a great point in the external too. We still have to pay for the rooms whether they show up or not.
Exactly, they do. So the fund still needs to be there for it. So you know, the funding aspect of it, it really needs to be pushed, and people need to just get out and do it. Just it doesn't take much, you know. Like I said, as something as little as printing out a little paragraph and taping it to a coffee jug, and going by your local VFW or Legion and say, hey, you know, we're doing this thing for the Civil War. It's really drawn a lot of interest, but we really need a lot of funding to help cover it. Can I put this bucket up here? Um, you'd be surprised, man. There's a lot of people out there willing to help if you just ask them.
I got a question for Chris, being that he's into the fundraising part of this. You guys are in Ohio, and you guys are having great results with trying to get people to throw money into a can or into a jar or something like that. Where you're local, that's going to be a little bit more centralized to your area. How would you
Correct.
recommend if I did that to where I live up in New Hampshire or whatever, trying to get people's interest in something like this?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a little easier here because it is Ohio history and it's a little easier to sell to Ohio businesses. But I mean, you could run a similar fundraiser in your neck of the woods. If you know anybody that owns a hall or owns a pretty nice sized bar, um, it's still, I mean, this is still something that even though it is about Ohio, it's about our country and the history from 160 plus years ago. So I mean, there's a lot of Civil War buffs, there's a lot of history buffs, and even though it is farther away, yeah, absolutely, you could still have a fundraiser like that, and explain to them what you're doing and how you're going on a trip, and and what the funding is going to go towards, and I still think people will be on board with it.
Yeah, this is really something, you know, if you sell it as not so much as Ohio history, but as American history with the Civil War, it affected the whole nation. And even further than that, it really affected the whole world because there were other countries involved. I mean, the amount of Irishmen that fought in the Civil War is unreal. Um, there were there were Spanish in the Civil War. There were all kinds of other nations that were involved. So that's one reason why you see a lot of the interest from nations that are farther away is because the world was actually changed when America had their Civil War. Um, so sell it as if you sell it as more of a Civil War fund as or event as opposed to an Ohio event. If you're not from there, it'll generate a lot more response.
Oh, absolutely. That's the Civil War is the most recent war that was fought on our turf. I mean, there hasn't been a war on our turf since. I mean, unless you count terrorist attacks, but I mean, actual wars where guys are shooting at each other. That's the closest one. Is the Civil War. So, I
Yeah.
mean, World War One never came here. Well, I guess Pearl Harbor, I guess it did, but
No.
an actual battle. It's our that's it. It's the Civil War.
Um. Yeah. It's really amazing that how far the reaches of something that happened here and was amongst us ourselves, the reaches and the effect that it took overseas. Um, but yeah, if people sell it more as a Civil War event, which it is, um, they'll gather a lot more response away from Ohio. Of course, they're in Ohio. Of course, they're wanting to sell it as an Ohio thing because it gathers more of the response there locally.
Well, let me rephrase that to you guys a little bit too, because Sam responded in the external chat. I wasn't saying me personally because I'm a member of my Masonic Lodge and I've already put in a jar there. I've got one at my own work, and this is the funny thing is I'm just an appliance salesman, but my customers all know that I do metal detecting. They ask me questions about it. On the back side of my card, I talk about metal detecting, and I've already got probably 30, 40 bucks in the last few days just willing to support this just because they're my customers and they're interested in me going out from New Hampshire to Ohio to try to get that historical marker there. They think it's absolutely fascinating.
Exactly. Um, yeah, I realized that you weren't talking about you personally, that you were just putting it out for other people that were involved, like myself. Um, but yeah, I mean, and if you're going to a company to sponsor you as a member of the crew to go to this, or if you're just a person in general that wants to help and you want to go to a company to get a sponsor for it, if you go to them and say, hey, I have a YouTube channel and we want to sponsor the CWPPO, can you sponsor us with whatever, a machine or whatever that you want to auction off on your YouTube page or however you want to do it, um, and then you donate the funds to us, that would be fine too. We'd be more than happy to have that. So it's not just the crew that can do that. It is people outside the crew that want to help and are doing things as well. Um,
Right, right. Well, I mean, even you personally can, I mean, if you remember of your Masonic Lodge, you can go in there and talk to them and even set up something small. And I bet you all the members would come. And I mean, if you raised even a few bucks, it would
We're
help.
working on it. We're working on a dinner for that, actually, as we speak.
yeah, I mean, there's every Masonic lodges are different. They all follow the same pattern and they all follow the same basic rules and guidelines. However, the minute rules vary from lodge to lodge. They all have their own set of bylaws. So different lodges will be able to do different things. Um, some lodges will not allow other events to be held that are not Masonically related. Some lodges will. So as far as Masonic lodges are concerned, you of course check your bylaws, check with your uh, sitting master and the officers of the lodge. But by all means, I mean, if you're a member of an organization that does different donations to different events and different things, by all means, go to them and say, hey guys, do you want to? There's this thing that's happening in Ohio that's really big with the Civil War, and they need help with funding. Is there a way we can do a pancake breakfast to help fund it? You
Well, if
know,
this works, Utah, this will be the first time my lodge has actually ever supported anything outside of the lodge, whether it be Levi's for Latvia and stuff like that that we've done before. And it looks like it's going through well because I am an actually officer of my lodge. So if it does go through, we're looking at full participation, and I'm looking at minimum. I'm hoping minimum of 150 to 200 bucks.
yeah, that
Nice.
is awesome.
Well, I tell you something I can, if you need any help, writing a letter, your donation letter for your local businesses, if you want to give away, if you do want to have a Chinese auction or you do want to give away door prizes, I can help you with that. I can Google your area and look at your local businesses, and I can give you some ideas on which businesses I think will be the most likely to donate. I mean, really, any questions, anything you need at all, you shoot me a message, give me a call, and I'll be more than willing to help you with that.
I appreciate that, Chris. I've gone into this wholeheartedly, and like even when I said I was questionable about being able to make the hunt, Utah and I talked about this the other night. Regardless of whether or not I was able to come up with a way to get out there, it's not going to stop my donations to the auctions, to the cause, to the fund, and put my ass out there just to see what can happen.
Exactly,
You're
and that's
not
appreciated.
an option anymore. You're coming.
Um, the thing Sam just mentioned, and I did not know that, Sam. That makes it that see every day there's something else that she tells me that just makes it hit home even more with me. Um, General Morgan was a Mason. I'll have to research that and see what lodge he was from and all, but he was a Mason. There were men of his that stole stuff from a Masonic lodge in their raid north, and he made them take it all back, and they were all punished for it. Which
Wow.
all makes sense if you are in the lodge, you would know why he made them do that. But that's really cool. That
Speaking of that, Chris, that pin that you showed earlier today, isn't that from the Masonic era or the Templars?
Yeah, well, it's the Knights of Pythias, which
Yep.
from the research that I did is a division of the Masons.
Yep.
But
exactly.
yeah,
It's not really the Templars. It's another organization within the lodge, but you have to be a Mason to be a member of it.
yeah, that pin is awesome. I love that pin. I was hoping, honestly, I was getting in touch with the Knights of Matthias. I was hoping they had a museum or something I could donate it to. You know, being my first piece of gold ever, it's going to be hard to part with, but I know they would appreciate it, so I'd be more than happy to donate it.
Yeah. I am going to go ahead and call this a night, guys, because we've been on here for over an hour and a half, and I normally like to keep it closer to an hour show. Um, Thank you, Dirtfish in Ohio. Thank you, Chris, for coming on and being our guest for this evening.
It's my honor. Whenever you asked me, I was blown
Uh,
away. I was
it
honored
was
to
an
be on
honor
this.
for us to have you on. Swansea, as always, thanks for coming on and doing your thing with the external for me. Um, and your input and insight is always helpful and great.
I
Um,
appreciate it, buddy. You know I'm here.
Josh, sorry you had to leave early. I guess you had to go to work tonight. So thanks for coming on and asking your questions as well and taking part in it. Um, if people haven't checked out Beyond Sight and Sound on 1,000 Mics, they really need to do so because Josh has an amazing show that he puts on every Wednesday evening. Uh, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight to everybody. If you have any questions about the CWPPO, about the fundraising aspects of it, um, if it's about the CWPPO in general, contact Sam. She can either send you to someone that can answer those questions for you, because I know there's a lot that she has going on. If it's about the fund and what's needed in the fund and what the fund is going to be spent for, and if you're a member of the crew and you're wanting to know lodging questions or things with that, give me a shout. I'll available by phone, text, um, on Facebook. There's so many ways you can get a hold of me. It's unreal. If it's about fundraising and different do's and don'ts with that, and about setting up fundraisers or any questions, give it Within Softball on Facebook a shout. Um,
Right. My
we'll
name's
answer questions, guys. We're always there to be able to answer questions, and we don't mind doing so. Um, was there anything you wanted to add before we call it an evening?
I just want to thank you again. It was an honor. I've been looking forward to this. I've been counting down the minutes to this show. This is the first person that asked me to be on a show, and I'm honored.
We're honored to have you, man. You're a great addition to the hobby. I mean, I realize you haven't been digging that long, but while you have, you've made some amazing finds. Your enthusiasm for the hobby and your outlook on the hobby and the way you do your digging and everything is just it's really great. It puts a great face to the hobby. So thank you
I
for that.
appreciate
Thank you
that.
for coming on.
Well, that, Chris, and the fact that you're this new to the hobby and you're willing to take a responsibility role and part of something so big with so many people, that's just awesome in my book.
Oh, I appreciate it, guys. I really do. It means a lot.
Um, yeah, if anybody has any questions, look us up. Let us know. We'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks, guys, for coming on. With that, everybody, swing low, swing slow, and dig it all.